Hello everyone, how are you doing?
Hello, sir. I'm good. How are you, sir?
Good, sir. How on?
Yeah, I'm good. Last session we talked about some programs related to JDBC, callable statement we have seen, and result set metadata, database metadata, and we talk about execute batch and its use. Yes. So today's session I'm going to moving into the web programming world in Java. How can we develop a client server application development? And what are the API that we use to develop a server-side applications? Java web application programming. Or we can say like um, server side. Web application or a server side applications. Anything is fine. In the real world industry, we use Java technology for the client server application development, or we can say business development application project. So here Java has introduced many different server-side programming that we use, where we write some code that is going to deploy in the server side. So we have a servlet programming, we have a JSP programming, right? So we have many more programming technology we use to develop a server-side project. Again, we'll talk about in a client server application. So we have a client side development and we have a server side development. there are different way of programming used for the different platforms. So in the client side development, we use HTML programming, CSS programming, JavaScript, all those will comes under. And then if you talk about a server side, where we write some Java code that will be executed on your server. So in server side, it has introduced, like as I said before, Servlet, JSP, right? So those programming use. And in the extension of this, Java has introduced some framework like REST API services. We have something called Spring modules. That is one of the popular modules that we'll talk about later. So let's talk about first this a simple client side and server side development application. So one of the server side application that I'm going to discuss here, one of the server side programming that is called Servlet API. Yes. Servlet is one of the server-side programming in Java, which is used to deploy into the servers. Okay, so servlet, it is a use for client and server communication, or we can say like request response programming model approach. Request response programming modeling approach is used for Servlet API. It is going to handle some different client requests from the client side, and then generating some response to the client systems. So each servlet, they do have a certain life cycle process, such as we have like init method. So let me just write down here, servlet life cycle. Each servlet have their own life cycle that is called methods. Service method. We have a destroy method. Yes. So init method is basically to initialize each servlet object by web server. Once that servlet is ready, once that servlet is nothing but it is a Java code. It's a Java object which has to be handle the client server applications. Okay, so once that servlet is initialized, once it is loaded by the web server, then it is ready to handle the client request and response. So to handle the client request and response, we have the service method, okay, which provide the services. So what is the use of services? Service nothing but to handle client request and generate response. Generate response. Okay. And now once the request response process is completed, then you have a destroy method. We have a destroy method. Destroy method is what? It is going to deallocate. So when there is no communication between client and server, so then what will happen? That object has to be deallocated. Means that object is no more responding to any client request, because that object has removed, that object has deallocated, that object is no more exist into the server. So that is called destroy. Okay, so it deallocate that object. Deallocate servlet object there is no more request. Yes. So we have a inet method which is going to initialize, and all these lifecycle method is going to be managed by the servlet container. That means the server is going to manage all these lifecycle process. Inet is service and destroy methods. Now the question is coming, how to create a servlet in Java code. So we can create a servlet. Next question is how to create a servlet. How to create a servlet? We can create a servlet. We can create a servlet in two ways. One is extends a generic servlet class. Extend generic servlet class. Or number two is extends a HTTP servlet class. We can extend any one of them. What is the generic servlet and HTTP servlet class? Let me tell you the hierarchy. So first we have the servlet, which is an interface, and then this interface is going to be implemented by generic servlet class. Generic servlet classes. And generic servlet class, it's a subclass is HTTP servlet class. Servlet is the interface. That interface is implemented by generic servlet, and HTTP servlet is a subclass of a generic servlet here. Okay, so the generic servlet which provide the basic feature, the basic functionality when you develop a server-side application, means it allow to override the methods of servlet, and HTTP servlets is going to extend the generic servlet class. So it is a more advanced feature object which we use for the HTTP client server communications. Today you are going to open the browser and you are going to hit a URL www.gmail.com. So which protocol is going to taking the request from your client system and is going to dispatch the server side? The HTTP protocol, right? So we have a different protocols that is used for the client server communication. We have a FTP protocol, file transfer protocols. We have a HTTP protocol, that is a normal HTTP request response communication between the client and server. And then we have a SMTP protocol, simple mail transfer protocol, we call as for the mail communications. We have a IP internet protocol as well. So generic servlet is used for multiple purpose because it supported to communicate between clients and server with a different protocol. But moreover, if we talk about HTTP servlet, which is designed only for the web application development for a client server communications. So HTTP servlets is more flexible, and it is designed only for just a client server project development, it's client server communications here. Okay, so now let's try to understand how the things are going to work, means how this client server communication is going to happening. Let's try to understanding into the architecture level. Let me just open paint. So here I'm going to discuss how servlet works. Or you can say client communication. Now I'm going to take some picture. So let's assume that this is a client system or the client's browser. Okay, and here we have the server. Okay, and I have some project in the container. Let's say this is my project. Just assume that. Okay, so let me just write down for your better understanding. This is the client system or the client browser. You can say browser because we do communicating with the any server side with the with the browser only. And this is my server, my web server. You can say like Apache Tomcat server. Apache Tomcat is one of the web server. Okay, and now here we have the project folder. Project folder. Okay, so I'm going to take one of the project here, such as let's say online Gmail application. Very simple. I'm going to take one of the example is a Gmail application. This is a mail services. This is a mail services. Okay, and every project obviously we do connect a database. That's I'm going to connect this project with my database, so which have the list of tables that it contains. So this is my database, and in this database I have some list of tables. So table 1, table 2, many number of tables. It depends on the requirement. It depends what business you do and what data that you want. So these are the different tables which I have, and you can take any one of the database. So I'm going to take this is a Oracle database or MySQL. So let's say something called Oracle database. Database. All right. Now, whenever you are talking about the project folder, as a backend developer, nothing but you are responsible to writing the complete business logic. As a full stack developer, where full stack developer need to taking care of both front end development as well as back end development here. So no matter what position or what the role that is assigned by you, so you need to start writing the code that has to be deployed over the server. That is the endpoint, right? Now here I'm just talking about the structure of the project which you need to maintain here. So here I have a list of okay. So this is what something which I said, the collection of front-end programming languages, collection of front-end programming. So what are that front-end programming? Here we have, say, I'm just taking some front-end programming called HTML programming, CSS programming, JavaScript JS. Okay, JS nothing but JavaScript programming. We write Bootstrap programming. So all this comes under your front-end part, which has to be executed in your client system. Apart from that, we do have some list of backend programming languages here. Like as I said before, we have something called Servlet programming and the JSP programming, all the stuff which has to related your backend programming where you are writing some Java code, and that Java code has to be deployed only the server side. So we have a servlet, and else you can use JSP, that is the Java server pages, or you use some deployment file on the server called XML file. All the stuff that is comes under here, or you can use some poser class for your Java bean object. All those will comes under your backend programming language. Apart from that, here we'll be adding some library file system, some third-party library. What is that third-party library? Is it possible without OJDBC 14? Can you connect your database? Not exactly, right? That means your project is fully dependent of some library. If you're working with a database connectivity, so obviously you are going to add some library file systems, right? Or if you're working with a Spring framework, so you need to connect, you need to add some Spring library files. If you're working with a Hibernate, so you need to add some Hibernate library files. So that is also part of the project. So this is a complete combination of here. Now what will happen in the client system, sir? The client is going to open the browser. So let's say this is my browser, Google Chrome or Mozilla Firefox or anything else. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit a URL in the top of my browser, say www.gmail. Okay, then I'm going to press the enter. So what will happen? I'm making a request, a HTTP request, and that HTTP request has to be is going to be the server. Okay, so now the server is going to passing the same request to the particular project which is on the domain specification of gmail.com. Okay, so it is passing the same HTTP request, whatever the HTTP request that we got it, whatever the HTTP request we got it, the same HTTP request is coming from the server to the project here. So I got a HTTP request here, right? And once the HTTP request is coming, then the home page, I mean the first client side page has to be open, something called home page or something called login page, whatever, it depends on the HTTP request endpoint URL, right? And then the client is going to pass some user ID and password. And once the user ID password is again sending through the same server to the my Gmail application, so then what will happen here? It is going to execute my business logic. So here we have a list of front end, as I said before. So I have some front end programming collection of HTML, CSS, JavaScript, some collection programming. And same here I have along with here I have some collection of back end programming, some Java programming, which where I have written some business logic that has to be take the HTTP endpoint client request URL. Okay, so based on the endpoint URL, that particular servlet is going to be execute, and then it is generating the HTTP response. It is generating what a HTTP response means. The HTTP protocol again is going to generate some response that has to be coming back to the same client. So finally, what I have to have, what exactly is going to do? The client is getting response from one of the servlet here. So here finally the client is communicating to any one of the front end programming or the back end programming which is running on the server, right? So server is there in between the client and the server side project. Without server, your programming, whatever you have in your project folder, is not going to be executed, right? Sometimes depends on the requirement, the backend programming language is going to connecting to the database to do the data validations, to do the inserting of a record, to update the record, anything else which you have done through before the console application. The same thing that you will be doing through the server side code. Your servlet programming is going to do that. Like so, here each project that you are going to develop the client server systems is basically the structure which you have. So you have the library file system, you have the server side components, and as well as some of the front end programming. So the collection of all the stuff, so we can say a fully fledged the project has going to be developed, right? Now let's try to understand that the same thing how we can do by using the practically. So let me switch to my Eclipse. First, I will show you how you guys can install this Apache Tomcat server, because without server, your project is not going to work. As I said, your servlet will not execute, right? So how we can, add this Apache Tomcat server in your, how we can configure this Apache Tomcat server on your Eclipse? What you need to do, go to the help. Okay, not no, don't go to the help, go to Windows, and we have a preference. Click on the preference. And here you can see the option called server. But remember, this server, you can see the option only if you are using Java Eclipse IDE developer. I'm telling you very clear. Again, don't say that I cannot see this server in the options. This server option you can see only if you are using Eclipse IDE EE developer, which I told you very beginning. You are going to use EE developer enterprise project. If you are using SE standard edition, this option will not be appear. So what you need to do, again, you need to download the Eclipse IDE EE developers. Okay. Now, once you can see this server option, you can go to the last option called runtime environment. Okay. In the runtime environment, let me just click here. In the runtime environment, you can see already my Apache Tomcat server is configured. Okay. Apache Tomcat 7 versions I have already configured, right? But in your screen, you can see the blank. So what you need to do, you need to add. So click on the add and select the server, the version from the Apache. So we can take Apache Tomcat 7 or you can take 8 also, not a problem. So, okay. So once you select the version, then you can click on the next. And here you need to click on the download and install. So which version I have installed? Apache Tomcat 7.47. See here. We will click download and install. So that window will come. I accept the terms and the license agreement. Click on finish, and then it will ask you which location of your directory you want to download this Apache Tomcat. And once you select that, then automatically that software will be downloaded, Apache Tomcat server, and then you can just click on the browse, and you can just give the Apache Tomcat directory path. The same I did here. So I have downloaded in the desktop directory, and finally I just gave the same path here in my Tomcat installation directory. And once you have done that, then you have to click on the finish. Okay, so that you have to do. And then finally, what you have to do, I'm going to show you a project folder that has to be executed on your server side. Means I'm going to show you first how you can create a web project folder, the server side application. So let me go to the file and create a first web project folder. Go to the file, click new, and go to the project. So I can see here Java project here, right? So don't go to Java project, simply you can go to project only. And now here you can see, okay, let me just go down. Here you can see Java web. If you just scroll down, you can see Java web and dynamic web project. Just click on the dynamic web project and click on the next one. Dynamic web project, click on the next button. Okay. And now here I have to give the project name. What is the project name here? You can give anything. So I'm just writing here Servlet demo project. Okay. And whatever that Apache you will download, just it will take the target runtime. and you don't need to do anything changes here. Now we just click on the finish. That's all. The kind of project associated with Java E, okay, yes. That means it's telling that before you are working on this console based application, now you are going to switch from the console to web application. I said yes, I want to go that one. So today simply I will show you how to develop a simple servlet project, and the same that you can try, and then we'll move forward the next stuff in the tomorrow session. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, yeah, this is the project. As you can see, is created. Now let me go inside the project directly, so you can see web content, build, all the stuff, and I will show you how you can create a servlet in this project. So right click on the project, click on new, and select servlet. Here you can see option like servlet. Just click over here, and now I'm going to give the class name. Package name is option. Class name I'm going to give, say hello servlet. Click on the next. Now you can see by default, which is the super class of the hello servlet, HT servlet. Now click on the next. This is the URL mapping. Every time if I will hit this URL, then I will get some response. Now click on the next. So I don't want any constructor from superclass, and which abstract method that you want to write. Yes. So both generic servlet and HT servlet, both are the abstract class. Remember. Okay. So it's telling that which abstract method from your HT servlet class you want to override. As I told you, all the communication is happening with HTTP method only. So I'm going to take one of the HTTP method is service. Okay. Which you already talked about in the servlet lifecycle. I'm going to override this method, service method. Finish. So I can see my servlet classes and all the packages related to the class that is going to be imported automatically. And later I'm just going to implement inside the service method, and then we'll just execute through the endpoint URL. Okay. So I got everything. Let me just make it full screen. Yeah. So I got my class, public class hello servlet, which extend the history servlet class by default. And we can see all the packages automatically imported, nothing to do. We don't need to do anything manually. And this is the web servlet annotations. And each time I will hit this request to the browser. Okay. Then this hello servlet classes will call this service method. Okay. And from the service method, the entry point of execution will start. That means this service method will provide the services to client. So it will take the request from the client, and then it will generate some response for the client. Means, as I told you, every servlet is mainly used for the request response model. It will take request and generating response here. Okay. Now, whatever I will write inside this service method, that is going to execute here. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to say response dot so I'm going to set what type of content that I'm going to generate in the client system. What type of response I'm going to represent to the client system. Okay. So content type is basically I will say some text messages, some textual data that has to be generated in the HTML format. So text slash HTML means some text messages that I want to represent in the HTML format. Now I'm going to write a print writer object, which is responsible to write the data in the client system. print writer EW equal to response dot get writer method. Response dot get writer method means whatever the response object is going to write the data in the client browser, that will do print writer. That means the get writer method return type is a print writer class. So print writer class is belongs to IO packages. So let me just import that one, java.io. Okay, now the error is fixed. So let me just write the message whatever I want to represent to client system. So I will pw dot println, I will write some hello, hello world message has to be displayed in the client system. Save this and now execute this. Okay, my program is ready. So if I will hit this endpoint URL, the hello servlet class is basically is going to call the service method, and service method will taking care of request and response. So now my program is ready to execute. So what I will do, I will just execute the code. The moment I will start execute, so what will happen? First, my server will start. My server has to be start because it's a server side, right? So first, before this program is going to execute, my server should be up and running on my machine. So it says that this is the Apache Tomcat server. Initial, now it is just stopped. So if you want to, start this, then only this program will be executed. Okay, finish. So it will take some time. Just wait and see. So finally, my server is started, and you can see automatically it's going to switch to the browser, and the message you can see that has been written hello world message. Okay, so let me explain here. Localhost 454545. So this is the Apache Apache Tomcat server port number, which is running in my local machine. So localhost colon 4545, and this is the project name which I have created in a few minutes back. And inside the project, one servlet is up and running, that is called hello servlet. That means when I'm hit this URL, then my servlet is generating some response, right? So if I will just change some code, let's say I'm going to change some part of background color, let's say want to change the body color here. So I will say body background color page. I need basically okay, and close the tab. Let's come back to again my browser and just refresh it. Clear? Whatever I will do modify in the my backend programming, the same thing it's going to generating response to the client system. Okay, and now if I will hit this URL any browser, I will get the same response. Let me try with another browser. Let me just copy this and I will try with the Microsoft Edge. This is another browser. So let me try the same. I'm going to hit the same URL, whatever I have copied. And let's see whether I can see the same response or different. Yes, hello world messages, right? So till your server is up and running, you will get the same response with any browser. If the server is going to stop, so I will go to the server here. We'll go to the server here, and I will say right click on the project, right click on the server, and I will say stop the server. Stop. Yes, now my server is stopped. So what do you think that? Can you get the same response even after stop the server? Not exactly. So let me just hit the URL, the same URL, nothing you are going to get because the server is not responding. The site can't be reached here. The local host refused to connect. The server doesn't know who are you, right? So there is no server in between the application that you have written and the client systems. Okay. And someone asked which ID that you are going to use. Same Eclipse, but a different version, which is a EE Enterprise Editions. If you want, I can share you the link. Even I believe that I already shared before. This is what I'm talking about. Eclipse ID for Java EE developers. Okay, you can download. There are some download links you can see as per your operating system. You can download, and let me share the same in the Skype. Uh, whatever we discussed today, just try the same. Download. If you have not using the EE, just download this. Set up your Apache Tomcat server. Create a web project folder as we discussed. Add this servlet and print hello world message in the browser. Okay, print a hello world message in the browser. If you have any challenges or anything, just make it note down or you can email me. We'll discuss tomorrow the same to fix the error. And after that, from here, we'll continue tomorrow sessions. And then I will give you some assignment to work on it on the servlets. Any questions from anyone? I'm going to upload this recorded video in the portal. Just access it. Follow the same. Try to set up and then execute the servlet as I did here. Okay. And the further steps, the assignment on servlet, I will give you tomorrow sessions. Tomorrow we'll develop a small web project development with the integration of a database connectivity. Make sense for everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right then. So thank you so much and have a good day. See you tomorrow.
Thank you so much, sir.